welcome to the Virtual Penny Art Center's book club. We have been meeting here since 2011. We started, forgive me if you've already heard this story, but we started by reading the books that Charles Birchfield loved. We know that because he wrote continuously in his journals. And that was an initiative started by one of our lovely docents, Jane Roubaix, who is no longer with us, but she left this wonderful legacy. Tonight, I'm really excited to introduce my friend and fellow docent, Deborah Daniels, who brought this book to me and is going to facilitate the evening for us. So thank you, Deborah, and please introduce our guest.
Again, Deborah Daniels. I'm happy to be here, and this is Francis Schmidt, and this is James Costa.
Nice to meet you all.
She's nervous.
I am nervous. I
It's
must
okay. It's
admit.
okay. Well, shout it out. So
It's
it's online.
Okay, I've never facilitated a book club today, so excuse me for any mistakes that I've made, but I'm happy to be here.
You already look like a natural.
I
Yes,
really.
And there are no mistakes.
Well, thank you. Well, we're going to review the title, the book. Let me breathe first. The title of the book we will be reviewing is Forever Violet, written by James Costa and Francis Schmidt. But before we get started, allow me to give you the backstory of Fran and my wonderful relationship. We met here at Birchfield's and connected during docent training in 2022. Fran had resigned from training class because she wanted to focus on completing her first novel called Fred Buffalo Building of Dreams. When I found out that she wasn't coming back, I reached out to Miss Mary and I asked her if she would reach out to Fran on my behalf to have Fran connect with me. Fran and I reconnected thanks to Miss Mary.
I'm the connector at large here.
And we have developed a wonderful friendship from 2022 that continues to this day, as we continually meet practically every month for breakfast or lunch faithfully, even though we didn't meet this month yet. And I'm going out of town. So you may have noticed on the third page of Forever Violet, hope you all read it, the book has been dedicated to Deborah Renee Daniel, and that is me. That is me. And I'm so happy about that. That's my first book that was ever dedicated to me. And the story,
Your last, Deborah.
I know. The story behind it should probably be a novel in itself. And I say that because as Fran and I were having breakfast back in late 2022 at our regular spot on Sheridan, and she raved about a Buffalo News editorial letter that Jim had written, and it was published in the newspaper. I asked Fran if she wanted to meet him, and she was like, yes, but how are we going to do this? And I'm thinking, oh, just leave it to me.
You didn't say that. You did
I know.
not say that.
I know that, but I'm saying, leave it to me. That's what I'm thinking. I didn't quite reveal my plan to her because I didn't want to get her hopes up. And it didn't work out. If it didn't work out, I reached out to the Buffalo News editor and asked if she would give Mr. Costa my information, my contact information. And a few days later, Mr. Costa reached out to me and I explained to him that my friend Fran, who just published her first book, was enchanted by his writing and was interested in meeting him. He agreed to connect with Fran. I then reached out to Fran for her permission to give her information to Jim. She was ecstatic. She really was. She could not believe it. Deborah, you really did this. Well, as of 2022, up until now, the two of them have grown a remarkable relationship and has published, believe it or not, 3 different novels. First was Forever Violet, Fred 2, and Accidental Virgin are 3 of the books that they have collaborated on. Frances and James received national recognition through the New York City Big Book Award in 2024.
Wow.
The New York City Big Book Award recognized Forever Violet in the category of young adult fiction as a distinguished favorite. And here's a little background about the author. James Costa is a retired West Seneca, New York, English teacher and the author of several novels, including A Portal in Time and Murder on Mulberry Street. And I was curious because there's a Mulberry Street in Buffalo.
Yes, that's the street I'm talking about.
Really? Amazing.
The old
It's an
stomping
excellent
grounds.
day.
Oh, wow.
I used to live in Route Bell too on Peach Street, so that was our own stomping grounds, Mulberry Street.
Wow, I thought about that and I said, no
That
way.
was it.
But
Right
I
down
guess
from-
it is a way.
Right down from the high school, yeah.
All right. Fran is a retired director of a Buffalo, New York College Career Counseling Center. During that time, she authored 2 well-received job search books, Getting Hired and Getting Hired in Any Job Market. Now let's get to Forever Violet. Forever Violet is a historical fiction novel about Violet Sheehan, a 12-year-old girl from a poor neighborhood with a difficult background living in the Stony section of New London, Connecticut. She dreams of escaping her harsh life to become a writer in New York City. Can you imagine coming from Stony Hill, New London, Connecticut, going to New York City
In the middle of a depression.
in the middle of a depression? Okay. While raised in a loveless home, she endures years of cruelty and indifference from an alcoholic father and a mentally unstable mother. As she lives the life of a gamin, Violet vows to escape the trappings of her bleak existence and works to fulfill her ambition to become a professional writer. She must have had a lot of discipline, and just confidence in herself to be able to dream this and be able to actually try to achieve it. It just makes me feel like anything is possible after reading this. Her journey from Stony Hill to Broadway is fraught with several traumatic experiences and setbacks before the harrowing climax, which leaves open questions of life, unpredictable twists and turns, along with the role destiny and fate plays in it. This original novel reflects Violet's unquenchable spirit and her behalf that life is a gift to be lived fully regardless of the outcome.
Sure.
There's a paragraph in the book on page 152 shared by the character Professor Maurice. It really resonated with me. He said, every life experience engages our emotions. And emotions are what writers infuse their characters with to bring them to life. How can they impart them if they themselves haven't first experienced them in the course of their own everyday lives? Think about that. We've all been through something. We've all suffered in some way, some form or fashion. And to use that suffering to actually share it through writing, it's amazing to me. How can they impart them if they themselves haven't first experienced them in the course of their own everyday lives? That can only come with living. In particular, living with pain and learning how to manage it to their advantage. In a very real sense, novelists are like an alchemist. Those ancient scientists who tried turning lead into gold. Could you imagine that? Novelists take the garbage of their lives and spend it into literary gold. The joy they experience can take care of itself, but pain must be shaped and molded to their advantage. To suffer is to be human in the fullest sense of the word. It's maturity. It's wisdom to be imparted through your characters to your readers. Now, it's time to introduce our former our Forever Violet authors, not former. Our Forever Violet authors, again, Francis Smith and James Costa. Have your way.
I have to say that was one of the
Wasn't it?
most enjoyable introductions I've ever heard. It was
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you, Deborah. Deborah, again.
I wanted to say thank you to Deborah and to Mary, because if it wasn't for the two of you, this would have never happened. And the reason that it happened and so special to me is because it's really a tribute to my mother, because and I'm going to look at my notes a little, I know it, but I'm a little nervous too. But it started, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit. It started in 2018, and my mother used to help, she was 92. She used to help me, like she was a vivid reader, and she would help me with, edit my book when I was working on Fred. But how this all happened, it's so ironic, because it's in 2018, she finally, I would say to her, Mom, why don't you write your own book? And she'd say, oh no, I can't do it, whatever. Well, in 2018, she said she would do it. And it took her 2 years to complete her first chapter. But at first she started writing, I can't, can you see okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine.
In 2 years, it took her 2 years to complete the first chapter. She started writing by hand. And after a while, she couldn't write by hand because she had the carpal tunnel, and then it was in both hands. And then she thought, well, you know what? When I was young, she used to be able to use a typewriter, the manual typewriter. So she bought a manual typewriter and started typing. And she had it on her little table, and she would type, but then all of a sudden her eyes weren't doing well. So she couldn't really see the words. With the vision problems, she couldn't see to write anymore. And then later on, she developed a serious illness, and then ended up in hospice and really couldn't write couldn't write anymore, but she could hear still at that time. And so I said, Ma, I'll help you. I'll finish your book for you. And for a while there, on the telephone, I said, okay, Ma, give me your ideas. Let's talk about it. And I did some scribbles and put it down. And I told her that I'd finish it. And then I want to share something that she wrote for me. She wrote a couple paragraphs when she decided to write a book. And she wrote it, and she said, Fran, you can put it on your author website. And so I'm just going to read it, what she did. And the name of it is, her name was Lily Sharon, but her nickname was Tiny. So that's the name she really preferred to go by. And it's called Tiny Sharon. And this is what she said. All my life, books have been important to me, and every day I read. Fran's novel, Buffalo Building of Dreams, has many historical facts about the 1900s that I never knew before. I was able to give her feedback regarding her manuscript because reading is like candy to me, and her characters are all the different flavors. Fran constantly pestered me, and at 92, I decided to write my first novel. I hope she'll enjoy reading mine as much as I've had reading her. So that was the inspiration, really, to do it. And then when I first met Jim for the first time, I mentioned my mother's writing, and then he told me that he was a novelist. And he said, well, maybe I'll be able to help you with that. And at the time, too, I was working on some short stories, and I'm not a novelist. I'm really not. I like the fiction, the story for Fred. That was a crazy thing. The building talked to me, and it was like 15, 16 years of living. I was possessed. I was working on a job search book. I was working at the college at the time, and I was working on a job search book, and I would just say, I'm going to write about this building. I'm going to do it. But I was possessed, right? Even when I met you, I was still, it took a long time, even after the book was published. But with Jim, we started meeting, I don't know how often was that, like every couple of weeks or whatever, to talk about it. But what I want to do is this is the paper that my mother originally started writing, by hand. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the first 3 pages of her writing, because really that's the heart of the novel. And I don't know what happened. And I think, and you can talk about that, how you became, it was like, how did this happen? Where we started writing and he was helping major because there's no way that I could have done it. And the ideas kept coming, and the first chapter is the chapter that really is pretty much led the way. Right.
Chapter, yeah.
So I'm going to read what she wrote. And there might be some swear words. So I'll just do blank if I don't want to like read them out loud because I'm not a like swearer, but she called it Cowboy Sheehan and Crazy Annie's Kid. And this is chapter 1, and it starts in 1938. It starts like this. I'm 12 years old and my name is Violet, but you wouldn't know it. Everyone says that there's Crazy Annie's Kid and Cowboy's Kid. I don't think they know my name is Violet. My name is the prettiest thing in my life. We live on Stony Hill. That's the name of the street for good reason. It's very steep, very, very steep. It's cobbled and it's cobblestoned. A crappy street with crappy houses and dirty, crappy families. I know there is an expression on people yak about it all the time. I can't remember anyone on this street ever going off to work at a regular job. I guess they're all on the dole. To say my father drinks is ridiculous. He could drink the Thames River dry every day. He has the honor of being arrested more than anyone in America, just about every day. Drunkenness, public nuisance, etc. They call him Cowboy because he wears a large, dirty white Stetson, and he usually wears a suit and tie. He leaves the house like Dapper Dan and comes home as a big slob. The big mystery is, where does he get his money? Excuse me. Okay. This place we live in is the pits. I call it the 4Ds. Dark, dirty, damp, and depressing. I guess that covers it all. The curtains are filthy and torn. I'm not going to wash them. I have enough to do cleaning up the puke and blank Cowboy leaves everywhere. I didn't clean it up because I can't stand the stink and I have to live here, nowhere else to go. Now Annie is a whole new ball game. She's completely nuts. I'll never know why they didn't lock her up. She likes the park, Riverside Park. A picnic table is her place, old, worn, scarred, and beat up like her. I guess one rather be there than go home. Can't say I blame her. She sits on top of it with her knees up and spread open. Her dirty gray long johns are quite a sight to see. Sitting there and pulling her hair out is what's left. Just a few wispy clumps here and there. Usually there are a large group of boys teasing her. She chases them, waving her arms and screaming. They run, she chases. I guess they have a routine going. Fields all around, and this is true. My mother remembered when she was young. This isn't her story, but she remembers parts of it are true, that there were violets. And to this day, was doing some research, and the violets are still there. So it was a whole field of violets, and then she's sitting on the bench or laying on the bench, all colors, blue, orchid, white, and purple. God, they were pretty. Sometimes I wonder if my mother, in a saner moment, named me after them. I like to think so. How did she get so nuts? My father don't talk, only say, feed me or clean up this mess. Annie hardly spends any time at home, only in real bad weather, so don't know when she's there. Weird. Do you want me to read one more page? Sure.
Go for it.
And then I'll just read one more. There's a lot here. I'll just read this page then. Excuse me. I guess she sleeps under her table most nights. She is so dirty, but germs don't bother her. Seems she never gets sick. Between both of them, I don't get the hell of a lot of sleep. I have to shop every day, steal if you must know. I'd call it shopping. Milk from doorsteps, and any fool woman who leaves her shopping bag unattended, it's mine. I grab it and run like heck. I get a lonesome onion that falls out of a bin, or some scraps of veggies. Any damn thing I can get. Ever have water stew? Fill a pot with water and add ketchup if you have any. Then throw everything you can find into it. If you are hungry enough, it's not so bad, but not good, but not so bad. When Cowboy, his name is John, is out like a light and snoring, I go there through his pockets and take every cent I can find. Sometimes it's rare. I can get $2, a blanking miracle. Where does he get the money anyway? I have to go to school in the winter, and that ain't easy. My few clothes have been washed so much, you can almost see them.
See through them.
You almost see through them, sorry. You read this enough to know what it is. Sullivan's, going down the hill next to me are the Sullivans. Johnny goes to school at Winthrop, same as me. The principal, Mrs. Caulfield, is a mean blank of a woman. She has a book, she calls her Black Book, but you don't want to get your name in it. Johnny did almost every day, and the other kids called him Piggy. Not his fault, he's dirty. But that was her writing, which I thought was, I would have loved to know how that book, would grow. And then Jim, we want to pick up and say a little bit how you got
Yeah,
involved.
right, okay, so that had nice characters to begin with, and I thought, well, she got a chapter there, a couple thousand words maybe. So we ended up with 100,000 word book. How we got there, I don't quite know, but we did. This was it was inspiring, her characters. We added other characters naturally as we went along. And the book got, eventually, about 3 months maybe, we finished
It
the
was
book.
done actually
Yeah.
within the year,
Yeah.
probably.
Oh,
But you
well,
were kind of possessed,
well,
then we thought she was channeling us,
once I
channeling
start
him.
writing, I like to keep writing. Once I like this, I like to keep writing. I used to write, the last book I wrote was in 2008. I didn't think I'd ever write another book till I met Fran, and she brought this up. I said, well, will I live long enough to finish it? Anyway, but we did, and we did go at it one chapter at a time, and she would edit it, make her suggestions, and we adapt them as we went along. And the book became, I think, a very good book. I'm surprised, because I don't usually do what somebody else starts. And I write what I want, what I like, what hits me. But I like the names, Cowboy, Crazy Annie. There was
Characters.
a lot of good characters, yeah. So that's how that book went along, and she dedicated to your mother too.
Yeah, we dedicated
Yeah,
her.
because that's her book now.
But if you didn't do that, you know what I mean? The circumstances, it would have never happened.
So Fran feels this is more or less like, I don't know, what do you?
I don't know.
Fate or
Is
something?
it fate or how did this happen?
know.
Because how did this book get written?
How do we meet up to
behalf of-
write the book and finish it with
Yeah.
your mother? Yeah. So you say it's could be fate, could be coincidence. When I was 16, I could have given you a definite answer because I knew everything when I was 16. But at this age, I don't know much, but I have nothing but questions left, okay? So anyway, we did it and it was successful. And then we decided to go on with another book
Yeah.
after that.
Well, and then which one? Fred 2. Oh, Fred 2.
Fred too, I like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but
Well, she wrote Fred 1,
Right.
and that's basically history of the building, the tenants that lived in this building on Niagara Street, an actual building around the turn of the century. So we got together, we decided, we looked at that one, she suggested, why don't we try another one? So we updated it to about the time of World War II, 1940, 41, 43 in there. And that turned out to be a very good book, I think. And this is what it looks like. The building actually looks like that. It's almost a picture of the book. But the tenants, the stories some are.
it's different.
Yeah, well, they're all, some are complete in themselves, some are interrelated. And it turns out to be, and the characters are very interesting here, as they are in Violet.
And Fred changes in here also. Fred's got
Fred
new
he narrates,
qualities.
you get away with it. How does a building talk? But the way it's worked out, you accept that. You accept the narration by a building itself. It's personified.
The book, yeah. I just wanted to
Yeah.
Oh,
let
Oh.
people on
Thank you.
camera see it.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I'm looking it up.
right, Vanna.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So if you want to read a page or two or something, one
Well,
of them
would
to
you
show.
like to? Or I don't know if anybody,
What
you were gonna read
Mr.
something?
Jacob, is he?
Can he read- can
Yeah,
you have
well,
that
maybe
book?
I'll read a page or two from one of the characters.
Yeah,
After
that you
Violet leaves her town, she's a young girl, she's heading to the big city. And one of the first places she goes is to a bookstore. Let's see if I can find it here. I got my book here. And there's to look for a job, to get work for herself. So, I mean, this is one of the things we do for character, so When I entered, I approached an elderly man with white hair, eyeglasses, and a bushy white mustache. He was standing behind the counter using a rag with a smelly solution to clean ink off his hands. Can I help you? He asked without looking up. If you can, could you please tell me who I could speak to about a job? What, you think this is an employment office? He startled me. I'm sorry, I said. I only thought you could maybe work here in a bookstore, he said, setting his rag aside and finally looking up to me. I did. I was hoping. You were hoping. Everybody's all the time hoping. Who's hoping for this? Who's hoping for that? I'm sorry I bothered you, I said, gripping my purse and turning to leave. Wait a minute. Who said you can't hope? That's such a bad thing these days, like some people think. Confused, I stand. Well, you said, I know. I said, you said, but he said, so what? You want a job? What do you know about books? I just graduated from high school and I love books. My English teacher, yeah, okay, that's enough. Maybe you know a little, maybe you know a lot. He waved his arm around. You think not too much to see, eh? Lots more upstairs in the loft. Many books of all kinds, and any kind somebody could want. He sniffed the air. You like the smell? I said I did. What do you smell? I smell paper from the books. They have a nice smell. No, that you smell, everybody smells. Could be the newspaper, letters, labels on cans, even who knows? What you smell here is the breath coming out of the books. All the books everywhere you see on every shelf, out of every mouth of all the geniuses, they who write the books. He scrutinized me. They talk to us. Dead 100 years, maybe more, still they talk to us from the grave. The voices are the words in the books. The breath is in the air we breathe. Do you understand what I say? I told him I thought I did, that I love books and hoped to be a writer someday. He removed his glasses, held them up to the light, and started polishing them with a big polka dot handkerchief, all the while half ignoring me. A writer. You want to be a writer? Everybody wants to be a writer. They think it's an easy thing. Me too. I wanted to be a writer, but God said no. He said, Jacob, you can make books and sell books like other people write, but a writer you can't be. I don't know why, but God has his reasons. Who am I to question God? He will say yes. And then from there, that's the first major character outside of her story, the character she introduced when he goes to New York. So there's a bunch of interesting characters in here, and he plays a major part, Mr. Jacob. And I think the book is compelling. I think it moves along pretty well. And I liked it. We wrote it. I liked it.
Any questions? Anybody?
Any questions about the book, about writing or whatever?
I don't have any questions, but I do have some thoughts.
Oh, that'd be great.
So I identified a number of themes, and I'm really glad that you won an award under the heading of a young, whatever it was, young reader or young adult.
Coming of age.
Coming of age
Yeah.
book, because it truly has so many important themes that run right through it. So I'm going to start with humility, and by humility I mean understanding one's own strength and allowing to grow. She knew she was a good writer. Her English teacher had told her, and so she forged ahead, and she had a lot of resilience in that regard. So I'm going to ask for you to comment if you'd like on any of these. Resilience for sure, the ability to adapt and work her way through some really difficult situations. And she did it without saying, why me?
Yeah.
She just said, this happened, now what?
I think she was tired of living in that situation and she just didn't give up. There were times when she looked like, who knows what was going to happen to her.
She never pitied herself.
She never pitied herself
Some
ever.
bad things happened to her along the way, but yet she forged ahead.
I think like
stayed
all
strong.
of us have things that happen that I don't think anybody has a perfect life. There is no, I think we all have residue.
Wait a minute.
Exactly. No, but we all have issues and concerns. And I think it's really hard, even just sometimes people aren't strong enough to do that. But she had that inner, she was a survivor. Like we are all survivors, I think, to different degrees. And you know, over the years when I did do a lot of working with people who had lost their confidence and, you know, they've either been like in the beginning, like divorced, separated, widowed, whatever. And those were tough times. And I think she didn't have really a big support group. You know, she kind of did a little bit, but not
But she recognized, and that's one of the points I wrote
Yeah.
here, she recognized who the helpers were.
Yes,
And
yes,
she was grateful to them.
absolutely.
So she
Absolutely.
knew that there were people, when she got in trouble,
Yeah,
she went to her friend, the professor. I won't show you more for people who haven't read it yet, but she did know she needed to speak to him. She wrote to her English teacher. She knew that support was there. So instead of pitying herself,
yeah,
she
that's a
said, who will help me along?
Mhm.
Where do I go? Acceptance, she eventually accepted everybody the way they were. And
that's
forgive-
important too.
Yes.
I think that's critical to be able to accept people just who they are.
The thing
don't
is,
have-
we don't know where your mother would have gone with this book.
No, we don't.
You can't know how
No, we'll
someone else
never
would
know
have.
that.
No.
But,
Didn't
but I'm
Dickens
sure
write a
she's
book?
happy. I'm sure she's happy.
I'm sure,
She
yeah.
said she said she'd always be on my shoulder if I needed her. So she's happy.
Yeah.
In fact, I can tell you a funny story about my mother and I. We used to go grocery shopping, right? And I would help her with her cart or something. And I'd say, "Oh, Ma, do you want that?" She says, "Oh, no, I don't know if I can afford it." I said, "Ma, okay, look, you can have, let's just get it, whatever." And then I said, "Ma, who's gonna push my cart when you're gone?" She says, "Don't you worry, I'm gonna be pushing your cart."
Horrible.
So she could be salty. She could be, and she didn't have an easy life either. She had good and
A
then
lot of
bad
this was
things.
based on her own
And I
life.
think a lot of, but not, I mean, the situations weren't all my mother's, but she remembered a lot of the stuff that she remembered because her family fortunately had money during that time, and her
Mhm.
father was a
Mhm.
plumber. He had his own business, and he would help people because it was in the middle of a depression.
Sure.
And then there was horrible, so she her memories of being a child at that time probably were very vivid. And she was very, she had a photographic memory. She didn't go to college, but she was, artistic. The things that she did, she really had the ability.
Look at that beautiful gift she gave you.
Yeah.
And you shared with Jim.
Yeah, so I mean,
The
I
rest of
feel like
us.
that's,
So we were obligated to finish.
we
this.
had to finish it. We
So-
had to.
Then remember, I think it was Somerset Maugham who said there are 3 rules for writing a novel. Trouble is, nobody knows what they are.
It's true.
It's true,
It's
the book develops itself. You have to know your true north. You have to know where you're going to end up.
Hmm.
But you don't know how you're going to get there.
Yeah, but see,
you know,
that's
who's
where,
gonna come
That's life.
that's the problem. If you want to be, because he says, if you want to be a novelist, you have to know where you're going. Well, with Fred,
I don't know, we've
I-
had some novelists
I
who
I
said
disagree. I know,
otherwise.
with Fred, I mean, I've never written it, but I was, and then the research, 9 years of research and
Yeah.
but I was, there was something magical. It wasn't, it was beyond me that I had to do this. I had to do it.
Right.
So, but I mean, because I'm not a novelist, that's the truth. I mean, I couldn't have
Well,
done
you
it.
have to know where you're going.
But
You have to know
So
how
I
that
think you
story
are
is.
now. I think
Well,
you're a
now,
novelist
maybe,
now,
but
right?
You have to know where the story is going, otherwise your story goes in any direction and it
But
loses
Chad, I
everything.
hate
He's
to
not-
disagree with
good.
you, but we've had 144 authors here, and many of them have said
Same.
the characters take them.
The
Maybe they're fibbing.
They'll take over. Most of the time, the characters will take over and take your book someplace else. As long as you know where you want to go, then whoever comes in has to lead that way to keep your book within parameters. Otherwise, you got to let it.
But evidently that's not always true,
Well, to her, I
No,
don't see how it can be otherwise. I don't see how it can be otherwise. I mean, you know, it's going to either end happily or sad, one way or the other. Maybe you don't know exactly which way you're going to end it, but you know where you have to go. Otherwise, you go off on tangents. You have no direction.
I don't-
What are
I
you doing?
disagree.
You're just
I mean,
talking,
yeah.
people talking and
Well,
doing what?
like all things in life, or as this very old adage goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
That's why every author, if you, like,
Yes,
I
every
think
author.
Dickens did, what did we do? The mystery of, I forgot the name of the book. Druid, or whatever his name is. He had finished
Edwin.
another book,
Edwin.
finished by others. 10,000 people could finish that book. They'll not finish it the same way.
Right.
They may finish it with the same ending of the murder solved or the happy ending or sad ending, but they'll all take a different way to get there. But it always ends up logically when you read the book. Yeah, that's logical the way things turn. But you read the other guy's interpretation, that's logical too.
Right.
No two people write the book the same way.
right?
Yes, a question for both of you. So tell me about your journey with getting your first book published. Did you already have connections or?
No, actually, these are self-published.
They are self-published.
I come close to getting published. My first book was called The Boy Who Made Music. It was a fantasy. And the editor liked it. He told me, wrote me a letter. He says, this book would be easy to publish. He was with Morrow Books. It would be easy to publish and promote if you had a name or a following. I was thinking of robbing a bank, get in the public eye and get a name somehow. And then another one,
Tell us about the woman, the woman who had, what you did, the woman with the disease.
oh, then I,
Tell
oh,
them
then,
that-
okay, that one was, so they came in sixth in the national writing contest. But another Penguin Books was another editor said, thought the book was intriguing, but it should try a smaller house. Well, at that time, you had to do everything on a typewriter. I mean, you miss a word, you got to retype the whole page with the onion skin and the carbon paper. It was a real headache. And when you send it out, it came back tattered and torn. I didn't even bother anymore. So I didn't write anymore. That was in 78. We went to Denver, my wife and I, for the award ceremony. It came in sixth, the book. Then I didn't write till I met a girl who had ALS. And I was visiting a nursing home with a friend. His mother was there. And they saw a girl sitting in a room with a pencil in her mouth, and she's pecking at a computer. And she's writing her life story. She'd been writing it for 10 years.
And how high was his pile? You said there was a stack of writing.
Oh, she had like 10 years of writing, so 5 feet off the floor, of all time. And she really couldn't write, so I suggested, or somebody suggested I try. So we wrote a book for her. So in 3 months, we had a book called In the Garden of Gethsemane. And her uncle was a wealthy man out there in Gowanda. And he paid for the books to be published. And we made 500 copies and sold them all and gave her all the money so that she could be independent in the nursing home. She had a daughter lived in Indianapolis with a couple of grandchildren. She never had money to buy them presents. Now she got real cocky. She's telling people off after that. She was getting fan mail and everything. So she was a great girl. And she had Lou Gehrig's disease. She got it first at the age of 20. She started tripping. She just had her baby. And then she went over to General Hospital. They brought her in Buffalo and go home and be comfortable. So that's what she was. It was fatal. So there's no cure for it. You have perfect vision, your mind is perfect, and your hearing is perfect, but everything else freezes up. So that was in 2000 when I met her. She had it since the age of 20. She was born in 1950. And so she'd been in the nursing home for quite a long time. So I used to pick her up, take her to her sister's farm out there too, so she could get out for the day, that sort of thing. But she lived 3 more years. She went for we fed to her stomach, that operation, and she died on the table. She was 53 at the time. Nice girl. But then after that book, I said, well, maybe I'll start writing books. And I was already retired. I was already 70 years old back then. So I said, I'll start writing. So I started putting together some other books of my own, and I ended up, I had 9 books written before I thought I was done, 2008, and then she comes along.
There you go.
It puts me to work, it puts me to work. So we did this one, and we did a couple with 3 altogether so far. And now we have Fred 3 is halfway done.
Yeah, and the other thing, if I could just share that, but there was a book my mother and I did. She did a lot of, in fact, I was gonna, as I mentioned, my mother did a lot of drawing and a lot of just all kinds of things. Well, my mother and I did a book like several years earlier, and I said, Mom, I'll get that published. It'll be, at the time we were going to call it First Aid for the Heart. So I remember I was working, and I did the thought, and I said to my mother, I said, Ma, you take my thought and describe it in your graphic, in your picture. So she did that, and she did 85 graphic things. So I said to her a long time ago, said, Ma, I'm going to get that published someday. So what's going to happen is the name of the book, it's an inspirational gift book, and it's called Heartstrings, and it's First Aid for the Soul. And it's in color. And I have a young woman who just graduated recently, but not recent, well, in the last year or 2 years. And we have the cover, and my mother did the cover. Because at one point I did some volunteer work for St. Vincent de Paul for like a long time, and she did the graphics like for that. So we're going to use that. But that's the project that it's like I can't wait to do that. So I'm hoping by 2027 we'll have that out, and then we'll ask people to review it. And then I'm actually going to put the reviews in the book, because that's one way to get it out to see people of all ages and, you know, variety if they'd like it. So that's the other one. And then there's one more, and it's called Ms. Menopause. It's for, yeah, women in transition. It's for all ages, but yeah, that's the last one, I think.
Mary,
She laughed over there.
did you want to share something?
Well, I'm just gonna add to what I said before. I love the fact that she accepted who she was and went back home and saw where she
Yeah.
lived.
Yes.
Yes,
Saw
I do
her
too.
old boyfriend and was happy for him. She could
Mhm.
be that gracious
Mhm.
about it. And the empathy that she showed at the end, I won't say
Right.
who the characters were. I'll allow people to find out
Yeah.
when they read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those were all such great lessons and forgiveness. She wasn't perfect either.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't. And so she forgave herself as well. And I did right here, I just heard, I went to hear the woman who wrote Educated last week, and she mentioned a quote by Joan Didion that says, I'll read this. I think we are well advised to keep on nodding terms with the people we used to be, whether we find them attractive company or not.
I love
And
that.
so she saw who she was and she gave herself that. She's on nodding terms.
I think that's wise. When you
Yes.
just would that
Yes.
quote.
So in general, I would say it's a great book for young adults because there are so many important lessons in the book. And I
And that's why
congratulate you
that one is
both.
different from this one, because these are all different stories. They
Yeah.
run the gamut of emotions. They
They
go
do.
from love, romance, murder, just everything in the book.
There's a lot of murder books in this
Yeah.
book club
This
for
is-
some reason. Yeah.
This is
Quite a
this is
few.
one freestanding story that, but the rest are, overall, it's a heartwarming
Yeah, it
stories.
is.
It is.
And they're all separate stories, and they all worked out very well, I think, yeah.
Well, I owe a lot to Deborah. Thank
Oh,
you for bringing
thank
the
you.
book to my
Yes.
attention.
Oh, it was a pleasure. I'm glad we were able. to
I know, we
sit
just,
here.
I enjoy your columns in the
Oh,
paper.
yeah,
he does that in the
Yes, I
Buffalo
read
News.
you
You
in the
didn't say-
paper from time to time
Oh,
when
my
you were
God.
there, yeah.
Oh, really?
I came in and I said, I know that man. I
Oh,
know
my
him
God,
from
that's
somewhere.
funny.
And then as soon as they gave me your name, I knew
Tell-
it was from the Buffalo News.
tell them how many you've written, how many
How
over
many?
the
Oh, no, I've
years.
been in close
many?
to
Yeah.
60 times, I think.
Really? Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I see, they used to give you 8 cents a word, which came
Oh,
to
my
$40 a column.
Oh,
And it's based on a 600-word column. But in 2014, they quit paying. I guess the paper started getting poor. They figured people want to get
Yeah.
their faces in there, and so they do it for nothing,
Yeah.
and they were right.
Yeah.
So I stopped for 7 years. And then in 2021, my class of 71 was having their 50th anniversary. So I got invited to it, and I said, well, maybe I'll write a column on this. So since 2021, I've been writing them
Yeah.
right along, and there's 3 waiting to go in now. So.
Yeah, well, I'm a fan.
Oh, that's nice.
No, thank you very much. It's nice to hear that, you know. I enjoy doing them. I take a break when I'm doing this. I get an idea for something, and I'll type it up and send it in. Anybody can do it.
Oh, sure.
And do we have time for another question? So I am writing a book.
Are you?
Big surprise.
Wonderful.
But one thing I found out, it's a memoir. So one thing I found out that if I put anybody's name in it that's alive, and I've been to a few workshops and I'm in a writer's critique workshop. This is a common theme now that editors won't even look at a book unless you have releases from anybody.
Yeah, I can
that
understand
would be
that.
Come across that at all or?
Mm.
No, I
No.
think that'd be true, yeah, because you could be sued.
Yeah.
You know, somebody doesn't like what you wrote, that's it, you know, slander.
And unfortunately, I had to cancel a whole chapter because I couldn't get a hold of the person who's still
Oh, wow.
alive.
Did you finish the book?
I'm close.
Do you have
Working
a
on it?
title? Do you
Good.
have a title?
I do.
What is it?
It's called Walking Through the Gate.
Very
And
good.
it's a story about interracial marriage,
Oh.
loss,
Okay,
racial issues.
okay, very good. There's something like that, a theme should be it should be easier to publish something like that today.
I'm
Because,
I'm hoping.
Yeah,
But-
what's your name? So I'll do remember.
Thank you, Michelle Graves.
Michelle Graham.
Michelle with one L.
What is it?
He's
One
my
L,
big fan.
Michelle.
One
Michelle
L.
with one L.
With
I'll
one L.
remember that.
I wish you luck with that.
Yeah, how long have you been working on it?
Since 2018.
Oh,
And then
wow.
I
Good for you.
stopped in 2022,
Mhm.
COVID, got the whole writer's block thing.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And I came here a few years ago and heard Susan Solomon, who's now
Left
deceased.
us now.
She was amazing.
Wow.
And
She was.
she invited me to her writer's workshop, critique workshop. And I started going, and unfortunately, I only went a few times and she passed away.
Oh.
I stuck with it and I got back writing because of her.
And this is a nonfiction, right? Nonfiction.
Yeah, it's a memoir. It's
Yeah,
a
that's,
nonfiction.
that's one thing, yeah. Fiction is a little different. You can't learn fiction. You know, you can learn the rules, but you have to practice to write fiction. You have to practice a long time because you're weaving all kinds of elements, character, setting, action, everything into one. It has to roll smoothly. It's much different. But what you're doing, if you have the theme you have, sounds like it's very possible that you get a regular publisher because it's almost impossible to get a publisher
Oh,
anymore.
period, it
Yeah.
is.
Virtually impossible unless you're known, you have a name, or, you know, you're a politician or you're a big musician or movie star.
Are
Because
you
you don't,
familiar-
because everything's the bottom line now. Everything is money.
Are you familiar with Lisa Redmond from Buffalo? She writes the cold case. She was a retired Buffalo police
Oh,
officer.
she did real well with her books though, right?
You know how it
Because-
happened? She's good friends with my cousin and they went to a writers' conference down south
Uh-huh.
and she pitched her book, one of her books, down there.
Mhm.
And in the car on their ride home, she got a call.
Wow.
She got a contract for that book and 3 more.
Terrific.
That's how it just.
And she'll be here in January.
Will she?
Oh, really?
Yes.
She has been here before.
That's
The
great.
thing is,
Wow.
most times you'll get a call from a self-publishing company, they want you to pay the
Oh,
freight.
all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
There's a lot of
get a publisher who
scams.
pays the freight in the old days, the way they did, that's virtually impossible
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah, you can't.
That's too bad, you
And
know?
even some very well-known authors have said that they get paid today as much as they were paid 25 years ago.
Yeah, I
They're the
believe it.
worst
I
paid-
believe it.
the
Yeah.
Writers they make no money. Everybody makes money off the writers except the
Yeah.
writers.
Mhm.
It's true. I mean,
One
right,
last question. How is it writing with a partner when you've written on your own?
well, she makes suggestions. She'll tell me why don't you use this kind of a character and I'll work it into the story. Then I give it to her. She hates the word that. And
That,
she
Well,
hates
you
the word
used it too many
just.
times.
Every time I can possibly change that to a different word or just, I do.
How about just that?
That was a good one.
But.
And we don't always agree either. We
No,
don't
we
always agree.
but
Yeah.
Usually I'll dominate. I'll take the last
You
word,
don't
the last word.
dominate.
But if her makes more sense, I'll adapt with what she says, you know? But it's interesting. I
It is.
don't know how much time I have left to keep writing, but I'm gonna keep trying here, so.
And I think writing, and how many here would you want to write? Do any?
I have taken writing classes.
Because, the big thing I think about what I say to people who want to write is that you have to do it. So if you have thoughts or whatever, random thoughts, whatever, you take them, you scribble them down on a piece of paper. I don't, because if you write, you do it you're in the car, you're in whatever's happening, you got to wake up in the middle of the night, you change the title for 15 times and whatever. And
When I was trying to write, when I was beginning to write, I would open up somebody's book. How did they do that? It looks like normal writing. What makes this work? Why can't I do it?
Mhm.
Well, the words become invisible after a while. When you learn the technique, it's easy. The words become invisible. Up until that time, everything is stilted. It's unrealistic. It doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good, and you don't know what the magic is. The only way to learn, you can learn the rules. You can learn you need a conflict, a protagonist. You need a resolution. You need characters. You need setting. You can learn all the rules. If that was all you needed, every English teacher in the country would have a book out.
Yeah.
And they don't
Yeah.
because it takes something else to do it. Practice.
Yeah, and
You
it's
have
just
to
putting
practice.
the main thing is to put it someplace. Because people say, I want to write a book, but you know what? You have to be alone. You have to be alone and you can't, you just have to have,
You know what I say to that?
what?
Take any book, look at the first paragraph, read it, any good book, read it, memorize it. Now you write that same scene.
Okay.
For practice.
A whole nother sentence become clumsy, they don't blend, it's not easy to do. It looks easy once it's done.
Right, and Shelley goes to two writers groups, the one she mentioned plus another one. And she hasn't had any critiques. And I'm a critic of writing, not formally. And but I read her stuff, it just flows. And she'll have a heavy topic, a reference thing, and a point there you're going, oh my God, say more about that. But it
That's
leaves you
great.
hanging.
That's
Right.
Goes on with the story.
That's
Expand
great.
that.
There's a lot of that in
That's
there.
Yeah.
And it's based on some really, really challenging
You know,
situations.
writing is a mysterious process. There's no two ways about it. It's very mysterious. I'll look at stuff I did a long time ago. Did I write that? Where'd that come from? I have no idea. But at the time, things will come to you when you need them.
But you
This-
probably
and-
learn from each other. I mean, I've learned so much from other authors or,
I can't say I did.
No.
I can't say I
You
did. I
learn
just
from
did
each
by
other?
practicing until one day,
Oh, I don't mean about writing, but I mean about the whole process.
the process of writing.
But I think everybody has a different process. Do you
Well,
know
you
what I
can,
mean?
So-
you can
so
go
who-
classes and take
You did
classes.
your own editing or did somebody else edit?
Well, well,
What?
Your
yeah,
Editing.
I think it's really important to have somebody edit that not you, not the person that's
Oh, yeah, all
writing.
right. It's good to have an editor, so you get a
Absolutely.
lot of hands sometimes, but
Yeah,
I come to trust my own judgment pretty well. I pretty much,
but even that's, yeah. I won't say
you
anything.
know, I trust.
No,
my-
but it's best
We
to
all
have
need an
someone,
editor.
yeah, we do.
But it is good, yeah,
Yeah, we do.
everything, I'll take anything, any help I can get. If
Oh,
it
yeah.
works, I'll use it.
I just want to congratulate you
Well, thank
both
you
on a
for-
lovely
thank you for
book and
coming.
thank you
Thank you very
for
much. Thank you very
bringing it
much.
to me and I
Mm.
enjoyed reading it and if you've
Mm.
not read it, I know you'll enjoy it as much as I did.
Thank you.
So thank you so much and
You're
Deborah,
welcome.
thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. It was my
Thank you for coming,
pleasure.
yeah.
And it's really a good read.
Very
If you
good.
haven't if you have not read it yet, read it. You won't regret.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks so
Deb, when you come out with
Thank you.